You're watching Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. I am Tyler Jones here with you. Some guy got mad at me for saying this, and that just makes me want to say it even more. It is time to drop our sack and touch our bags on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. You got questions. I got answers. We'll get to it coming up in just a bit. This comes from our Wednesday live show where we answer your questions live in real time. And you may be saying to yourself, how can I be a part of your next mailbag segment? Well, if you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, you will know when we go live, when we have brand new content here on the channel. So, subscribe now, turn on notifications, join the Noti Gang, spam Noti Gang in the comments section if you're in the Noti Gang, and we'll get started with today's show. Let's begin with Seth with our first question. Seth wants to know, are there any available trade options or free agents left to pick up at linebacker? So let's start with the trade end of things. The off-ball linebacker position doesn't hardly get traded anymore. That is something that's changed in the National Football League in recent memory. So just go ahead and get that out of your head now. It's highly unlikely that we see the Seahawks trade for a linebacker to add to this unit. Now, free agent-wise, there's a couple options that intrigue me. We've talked about them on this channel previously. Quan Alexander, former Pittsburgh Steeler, at the time of this recording, he remains available in free agency at this point. Zach Cunningham, also still available as another possibility as well. Those are guys that could be options for the Seattle Seahawks to add, and we'll just see. I know that we talked about Tyrese Knight earlier in the week, that he's coming along nicely. We'll see what John Radigan and others can do, but in a perfect world, we just see Jerome Baker and Terrell Dodson get healthy, and then you don't have to worry about adding more at the linebacker position. But we'll wait and see. The belief is that they will be back in time for training camp, but we'll see what happens. Nick Furia writes in, do you think the Seahawks will trade for Matthew Judon? I don't think so, Nick. By the way, still calling me Papa Seahawk. When is that going to die? My goodness, I think Nick started that, and that's still staying around all these years. Anyways, would I love to have Matthew Judon in Seattle? Absolutely. Of course I would. The things I would do, I would eat a Klondike bar to have Matthew Judon come to the Seattle Seahawks. That's one of the things I would do. Matthew Judon would be awesome for this Seahawks team, and you wouldn't have to give up a ton. I think the trade idea we talked about earlier in the week was, a couple day 3 picks potentially is all it would take. You would have to pay him about, what is it? I think, off the top of my head, $13 million, something like that. I think it's very manageable if you want to go that route. And then you're talking about him with Uchenna Nwosu and Boye Mafe, and you have all sorts of guys that would just be able to get after the quarterback. And it would be incredible if you added him to the mix. Do I see it happening? No. Do I wish it would happen? Yes. But I'm not John Schneider. They don't let me make those decisions. Tyler's burner writes in, oh boy. You want to know what my burner would have to say. What's going on with Leonard Williams these days? Well, glad you asked, Tyler. Leonard Williams. A lot of talk this offseason about, is he worth all the money the Seattle Seahawks paid him? Remember, they gave up the 2nd and the 5th round pick at the trade deadline. And then they still had to pay him all that money in free agency. And all signs point to that Leonard Williams is going to be fantastic. Mike Macdonald's a big fan of Leonard Williams. He's going to bring a veteran presence to this Seahawks defense. He's coming off a season where he had 5.5 sacks last year. And in the second half of the season for Seattle, he was the best player in the Seahawks defense last year. So there's no reason to think that Leonard Williams isn't going to show up and show out. And another thing with Leonard Williams, one of the things I've been hearing about how he has handled himself this offseason is that he is taking on kind of the leadership role on this defense. With Bobby Wagner out of the picture now, with no Jordan Brooks, Jamal Adams, or Quandre Diggs, now they're turning to the new group of older guys, if you will. Leonard Williams, Jaron Reed. We've already heard Devin Witherspoon's carrying himself like a veteran and been a vocal leader of sorts. But Leonard Williams, I think, is going to be very pivotal in the development of guys like Byron Murphy and others, being a part of their growth and getting the most out of them going forward. Nothing but positive things to say about Leonard Williams. I'm excited to see what he does this year. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Williams to the moon! Will Leonard Williams have a big year? Why for yes and for no? Why in the comments section, let us know what you think. Cam Chancellor, Bam Bam, checking in. Is this a make or break year for Coby Bryant? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. The great Ron Swanson once said, never half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. And with Coby Bryant, what we've seen is that he's played okay at corner. He's played okay at safety. But he's never done either position that great. He's never played to his full potential at either spot, which has been unfortunate because we know that the talent is there for the former Jim Thorpe winner out of Cincinnati. He can ball out, but it's been very inconsistent for him. He's had problems staying healthy here. The Seahawks need him to basically either shit or get off the pot. I mean, let's be honest. Either needs to commit to one of those two positions, and it sounds like it's the safety spot right now, and just go all in and really just develop and own his craft, if you will. He hasn't done that to this point. We know he's got talent there, but he hasn't put it all together. I think now being under a competent coaching staff, that should help things for Coby Bryant. But to me, that's the next step for him to become that player. He has got to just focus in, razor in on that. And if he does so, then he could be an impact player for this Seahawks team. But he can't be going back and forth. He's got to pick one or the other, and he's got to stay healthy. Do you believe in Coby Bryant? Is he going to have a breakthrough season in 2024? You got two options here. Type B for believe, type D for don't. Weigh in the comments section. Let us know what you think. Lon writes in, which playoff team last year won't be in the playoffs this year? Lon, great question. Here's one for you. I know it's not in our conference, but the team that I am selling, my bold prediction for the NFL season this year, is that the Buffalo Bills are going to get exposed. I think that Sean McDermott is a fraud. I would have fired him after last year's loss to the Kansas City Chiefs if it were up to me. I think that McDermott gets exposed and the Bills miss the playoffs. I think they lost way too much talent around Josh Allen. I think that it's the Chiefs and the Ravens and everyone else after that in the AFC. I think the Bills, they missed their moment, if you will. Their window closed on them. Not saying they can't reopen it later, but to take advantage of the opportunity they had, it's Jover for the Buffalo Bills. On the NFC side of things, the team that I have missing the postseason, I got to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'm very high on the Atlanta Falcons this year. I know it was a head-scratcher, them drafting Penix and signing Cousins both, but they brought in some really good players. Although I'm not high on Raheem Morris, their head coach, I think the Falcons are going to win 11-plus games this year and win the NFC South. I think they make the postseason. The Bucs miss the postseason this year. Last question comes from Evan. Evan Schneider wants to know, will Geno have over 3,500 yards this season? I sure hope so. If he doesn't, that's going to be a problem. Something has gone wrong if Geno does not have 3,500 yards this year. 3,500 yards, I mean, you think about it, they're going to be passing the football a whole lot more than they ever have before. All right? You got all those receivers to throw the football to. Yeah, he should have at a minimum 3,500 yards. I think he goes for over 4,000 plus. I think you're looking at 30-plus touchdowns, maybe even 35 or 36 potentially, best case scenario. But also got to take care of the football. That's going to be another important key as well. We've seen Geno at times either do a really good job of taking care of the football or it kind of spirals and he turns it over a bit too much time and time again. I would be very pleased if at the end of the year we're talking about Geno throwing for over 4,000 yards, 35 touchdowns, 9 or 10 picks. That would be a fantastic season for Geno Smith this year. Let's see if he can get it done. Subscribe now to Seahawks Today for continuing Seahawks coverage. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. We'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today.